This is part two of the Sanction adventure Cowl, and I'll do a kind of a brief overview. I sent everybody a description of the last one, the last session, the first session, and mainly you had headed up from London to Waltham Abbey to investigate some monstrous threats that had been harassing travelers that were passing through the Waltham Forest, namely for Henry Denny. And Denny is the son of Henry VIII's groom of the stool and the then Princess Elizabeth's governess. So somebody who holds some power and prestige within England, and so has a bit of pull. And Dee sent you all as agents of Dee to deal with this issue. And along your journey, you encountered sort of your first clues as to what the potential menace might be when you stopped at one of the agency's stone houses for a night's rest. And there you found a bloated and dead body that was killed by some sort of strange acidic poison. And then you found several clues which were really odd. One being a silken sheath, 3 feet long, rough with scales, and pricked by a few blood-matted feathers that had a faint odor like honey. A pile of slimy, foul scat, riddled with small bones and smelling like a bitter fruit. Emma Rose stomped her foot into it and was sort of burned and disfigured on her foot. And then you found strange tracks, like a turkey had gotten into a scuffle with a small hog. Very confusing. On the body, you found a few coins, which you quickly pocketed. And then on the rest of your journey towards Waltham Abbey, you notice kind of strange skitterings and behaviors from the local animal life in the woods on either side of your pathway. And the plant life had grown very large and and strange in the just beyond reach, in the forest, as it was to your right and left traveling to the north. You saw these sort of thick undergrowth with these brightly colored barbs, fat gnarled branches, abundant with fleshy, sour fruits. And finally, you arrived at Waltham Abbey as the sun was setting. You had sort of a drizzly day, so it was really more of the light dimming. And you entered into the town, the port town, of a few hundred souls, looking forward to the respite from the road and all of the hideous things that you'd already seen in the service to Dee. And you noticed the Green Man Inn, which smelled of fish stew and warm bread and sort of stale beer, marked improvements over the horrendous smells of offal and mud and the river nearby, um, which is the.
Is it the Severn? Is the river?
The River Lee, Lea, maybe Leah, maybe Leah. I don't know. River Lee.
Ah.
And you found yourself in the center of town, a light drizzle falling on you. Mostly people kind of picking up, closing shop for the night, closing down for the night, getting into their homes. There was a definite sort of flavor of, I guess you might say, distrust on the faces of those that you passed. a certain level of tension. And and that is what you're presented with. What would you like to do?
I'll look up the sign at the of the Green Man Inn, as I'm a secret druid worshipper thing, and see if there's any more depth to it, or is it just because it's common to see signs like that, like King's Head or Solomon's Wisdom or Green Druid or whatever? Does it have any depth of meaning? Like, is there anything else painted to the sign that might clue me in that there might be a believer here or somebody else who might be interested in that kind of?
Yeah, so you do notice something, actually, taking a look at it. Well, make an intellectual challenge, actually. See what you're going to notice something, but then see if you notice something more.
Okay, make an intellectual challenge. So that's D8. I forgot. I get to roll dice.
You roll your die, and then as long as you don't roll a 1 or a 2, you succeed.
I'm just going to get in my bag.
In fact, I will give you a step up to a D10 because of your background.
Oh yeah, I forgot you could step up and down. Brilliant. Okay, then I'm rolling there. A 3.
Okay, good enough. So yes, you see that there are little dashes of design on the building and on the sign, and the sign in particular, that show a sort of ancient, like the Green Man Inn has been repaired many times and been, boards have been replaced and windows and lamps and all of that, but there still remains this sort of connection to time long past, a more primal period of
Okay.
of England, when certainly when before Protestantism was favored, and definitely before even Catholicism was favored.
Can I ask a sec? Is somebody typing? So I can hear a mad click, 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 click loads.
It's the sound of rain.
Oh! I could just madly like hear it. Okay, it's one more primal time here, pagans. Go on. Wow, that was atmospheric.
Yeah, so there's a pagan influence, I guess you might say, that you kind of notice. And and it's interesting because and if any of you have like any Catholicism in your background?
My dad was a vicar, but he wasn't a Catholic. But Anglicanism and Catholicism wasn't too far divided about this time. They had very similar worship. So I don't know.
Okay. And if I could trouble you to change your names to your character names, so that way that I can keep in character.
Okay.
Regardless, this isn't too far from London, and it was kind of a famous time period. You would also know that the Waltham Abbey has been, shut down since the dissolution of the Catholic Church in England. But it was the last of the Catholic strongholds to be shuttered. And it was an important pilgrimage site because it had a holy relic called the Black Crucifix.
Ooh.
That was held within the abbey. And you don't know much more than that, but you do know that object was taken and pulled away. But it's interesting because even in spite of having this, and you would notice this, Emma Rose, or you would kind of consider this with this success of your intellectual challenge, that even though the there was this important artifact and all of that. You can still see touches of paganism here and there in the buildings of the town.
Okay.
So you stand, a group of the three of you, in the light rain.
I look what the other two are doing as I assess the pool. Give them a try.
I want to, since I have street smarts, I'd like to look around and see if there's any sort of, I don't know, any sort of writing or symbols anywhere around on the walls, or anything that would indicate any sort of, I don't know, underground information. Maybe I would be able to translate it, or I don't know.
Well, go ahead and make an intellectual challenge.
Okay. All right. So,
Gretchen, did you say St. Ives street wits?
Street smarts, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said St. Ives. I thought which was the place. Sorry.
I rolled a 1. Is that good or bad?
This is a fail forward game, so it's not necessarily bad, but you did falter. That's what it would be described as.
Okay. Badly.
You're kind of looking around, and you are just kind of looking around the town, and you see, well, I mean, you see a number of, I mean, you kind of like, you notice the docks, and you notice
I like the scene. Really do.
you notice the tailor above which is the Charnel Guild. You notice the church, which is very clearly once was a Catholic church, but has now been converted into a Protestant church. And you see something on the church that looks interesting to you, and you start to take some steps towards it, and you find yourself stepping into a deep, water-filled rut.
Ooh.
You step deep into the rut, and you just this huge splash, and you are just soaked now to the bone.
Awesome. Awesome.
Do you want to read this out loud? I mean, not bother. You don't want to read this story?
Does Chris know he's not muted?
Oh, I thought I was muted.
I thought he was talking to you guys. Like, did you find
Thought he was
No,
too.
I've just sat down next to my wife, and she was like, "What?" You, and like she gave me a raise an eyebrow, and I was like, "I'm not. Look, this is good. This Zoom meeting. I'm sitting listening. Sorry, God. Thank you, Gretchen. You are so kind."
I was like, what secret information does Chris have that I don't know?
I've been rumbled.
So now all of you are getting slowly wet, except for Joyce, who is now quickly wet.
I'm just waiting for them to get out of the rain so we can get inside. I kind of have an impatient look on my face.
All right, yeah, I will be happy to go inside.
All right, so you head towards the end.
Yeah, I do. And as we go, I say, upon the sign and about the inn, there's still signs here of old worship. Say, and like I touch my head in a sign, like 'cause they used to wear garlands and stuff. The pagans did loads, and I like make a few symbols as if to say, like, you know, what they used to wear on their head like 100 years ago, around the wrist. And I'll do a little shrug, as if so. I pass on all information as I find it.
Yeah, and as you step into the Green Man Inn, it is just 100 times as much of everything that you were noting before. There is elaborate woodcraft depicting wild woods, scampering animals, and yeah, you made your intellectual check, and you can see images of the Green Man, the sort of mythical fey creature, its face along the edge of the ceiling and the supporting posts. There's a somewhat of a crowd. You know, there's people in here who have gotten out of the rain, and all three of you are happy to be as well. And there are drinks, and this sort of fish stew is being passed around with this crusty bread. And you see a well-fed, red-faced man, you know, working behind the bar, I guess you could say, and you know, he motions you to a table should you choose to take it. There's a couple of servers who are walking around taking orders and all of that. There's also kind of people just milling about. It's not like a modern day like restaurant. You know, people are kind of moving from table to table, talking to each other. People are sitting down to eat, but it's not, you know, this kind of formal, you stick to yourselves kind of thing. Like, people are talking to each other, whether they know each other or not. Determined.
I'll make my way over to the table that he pointed to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll follow on over.
Wait till a server comes around.
Wet.
All right. Yeah, a woman in her, you know, late 20s, you might say. Obviously a veteran of working in a setting like an inn. Clumps over towards you, tray in hand, empty tray in hand at her side. What can I get for you?
I'll take a pint of mead and a bowl of that fish stew.
Coming right up. What about the two of you lasses?
I will have the same, thank you.
She raises an eyebrow.
I say something that would have a bit of pagan clue. So I'll say I'll have water drawn from the river at dawn. When it's his first press under the spring light, which is like some kind of, I don't know, some old pagan rhyme or something. And I smile.
She says, she kind of sniffs at that and says, "We got beer, wine, and ale." And mead.
Well, he's having a point.
All right, she skips off. And you can hear people talking, you know, listening around. Talking around, and there's some people having some excited conversations. You know, and you know, now that you've come in, you notice that people are giving you a bit of like sidelong glances, but everybody's kind of looking conspiratorially at each other. There's definitely a bit of a paranoia that is circulating through space.
No, you go on ahead.
Can I try to grab some of their topics they're talking about?
Sure, make a
Do they
physical.
say any?
Yeah,
Which one? Physical.
Physical. Mm-hmm.
I got a 2.
Okay. So, you do get a general sense that there's been a couple of disappearances on the road, and that seems to be the main topic of conversation. But you know, as you're trying to pick up bits and pieces, just the din of your fellow customers, it's just too much noise sitting from where you are to really be able to pick up anything of any real use. What about you? You were gonna say something there, Joyce?
I'm kind of looking at everyone. Since I have street smart, well, this might be. How about deception? While looking at all of the members sitting here in the tavern. Is there anyone that I could maybe ping as being easier to influence than others? Someone who might be intoxicated, who might be jibber jabbing.
Okay, so you look around. Go ahead and make make a physical challenge, and I will give you a step up on that.
A physical shit. All right.
Well, you can make an argument for something else.
Well, what about intellectual, as in having the smarts to spot the person that could be an easy target?
Okay, yeah, intellectual. That's probably better anyway. To be honest with you.
Can I just say, I love the word jibber jab. Jibber jab.
Thank you.
I haven't heard that word in forever and really loved it.
Gretchen actually says it a lot.
I do.
Jab.
Yeah.
It's part of her lexicon.
Also, while we're rolling dice, Rob, I am struggling to hear you, mate. I can hear everybody else. I can't find out how to turn you up on my phone. Is there any chance you could turn your mic up a little bit?
Absolutely.
so-
Is that the case for everybody?
Yeah, I have my sound cranked way up.
Okay, I can
I am-
change.
But-
I can turn up my speaker. Actually, oh, you know what? My speaker is a little low. How about now? Is that better?
Oh,
There you go.
that's it. Oh, so
Okay.
much
Okay.
better.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah, my speaker was actually way down for some reason. That's very strange. All right. Let's see here. Yes. So there is. Did you make your intellectual challenge?
I rolled a 4 and I have a D8.
You have a D8, and that includes a step up.
How much is a step up again?
It
One
goes up to
dice
the
up.
next die up. So you
Okay,
would go to
so-
roll a D10 instead.
Oh, okay. Well, snickerdoodles. Okay. There we go. 7.
Okay. Yeah, so you notice a man who is at the bar, and he looks to be, let's see here. He looks to be about, let me get the age on this right here. I apologize, guys. I was telling Chris this. All of my notes are gone. Like, I lost my entire, all of my prep work. I don't know what happened to it. The whole thing disappeared. So some small details that I wrote down are not here quite as much. So let's see here. Right. So this would have been looks to be about 30, in his mid 30s, you would say. And you can tell he's kind of getting drunk, a bit drunk. And he's a little dirty, but he seems to be like kind of jovial, joyous. He seems a little bit out of place in the environment because everybody else has sort of got that paranoid look about them. And you can see he's kind of making the moves on a woman who is at the bar. Looks to be maybe a traveler, somebody who came in probably off one of the ships in the port. Doesn't seem like a local, dark-haired woman, wearing clothes that for sea travel or river travel. And he's kind of like, putting on all the moves, and he's, drinking, and he's kind of urging her on to drink more as well. And you see kind of next to him is another man who looks to be about the same age. Short hair, short curly hair, dark hair. Looks to be, he's particularly pale. Like very pale. You can see that he, like from where you're at, you can see that he's got, like dirt under his fingernails and like worn hands. But he looks a little embarrassed. Like he's sitting there and he's got his hands in his head and he's just like, he's sitting next to, he's got like the guy who's hitting on the woman's got his back to him. And he's just like sitting there like eating his stew, but you could see kind of like his eyes keep shifting in that direction and he just kind of looks a little bit embarrassed.
But they're clearly together or not.
They're not interacting like they're together.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna. Huh?
Sorry, go on.
No.
So the pub's fairly full, did you say?
Yeah, it's about
20
half. It's probably about half full.
Have we got lodging?
You can get lodging here. Yeah, this is an inn.
Sorry, Gretchen, go on.
No, it's okay. Okay, so Joyce, and seeing the group over there, her demeanor is going to change, like that sort of absolute average woman is. She'll straighten her shoulders and a little flush will come to her cheeks, and she'll grab just an empty, since we haven't been served yet, she'll grab an empty mug and kind of start her way over there. And as she approaches, she's going to laugh as if she had been told a joke before coming over. And Joyce will and Joyce will kind of sit kind of a bridge between the two, the one who's being jovial and joking and working on a lady, and then the one who isn't. And
well, they're right next to each other, so you'd have to kind of squeeze between them. It's not really like there's no, this isn't like,
is it like one long table?
Yeah, it's like a bar, but there's just a stand at the bar. There's no bar stools. It's like,
okay, so his back is to him. Okay. Yeah, I'll squeeze in between them. Okay. Sure.
So you're kind of brushing between the two of them, basically.
Yeah. And since this is at the bar, I'll kind of wave for the bartender.
The innkeeper and the bartender. Yeah. So the man who you kind of bump into, who's eating the soup, who looked a little bit, the pale man, he excuse me, missus. And he takes his bowl and he kind of slides over a bit, kind of looks to you and looks up at the man, and who's being a bit lecherous, and he sort of just shakes his head. And he just goes back to eating his. He kind of moves all of his stuff over so you have space.
Goodness, I am so sorry. I apologize. It's been a very long day. I should not have bumped you. But perhaps it's best that maybe I am between you and this gentleman next to me.
No need to apologize. He just kind of gives a little smile and kind of wrinkles his nose at the other man. The other man kind of just he doesn't quite look at you. He doesn't give you like a, he kind of turned a little bit when you bumped him, but he seems like he's intent on the woman that he's speaking to. And the red-faced, the sort of chubbier red-faced older man, the innkeep, comes on over.
I'm sorry, sir. What are you drinking?
I've got a local beer. Ralph, sir, I think the lady's looking for one.
Yes, I would love to try one. May I please, Ralph?
Yes. The man comes over. Yes, Ralph Moore here. Welcome to my inn. Be happy to get you a beer.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Come off the ships. You don't look like a boat woman.
No, I'm certainly not a boat woman. I'm on the road to visit family, and this weather is always dreary, and I've hoped to come in here for a bit of company and warmth, and it seems as if company and warmth is a bit in short supply here.
Yeah. This is, pardon my plain speaking, I can tell you're a Londoner, but all of the woes of Waltham come from London. Simple as that. It says, and there's been far too many of them coming through town lately.
Okay.
And he poured you a beer with the expectation of a coin.
Yes, I will give a coin. How did we do money here? Did we roll for money?
I think you might have a couple.
We stole some or got some off the body.
Okay.
Unless you're going to buy something expensive, we're not really.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We'll just role play it. Like, unless you're like, I want to purchase a horse.
So then I'll throw down the coin for mine, and sir, if you could get my companion here another one, I would certainly appreciate it.
He shakes his head and he puts his hand up. He says, best I don't. I got a long night ahead of myself.
At that, she'll kind of put her head on her hands and kind of lean to him. And goodness, what has you occupied this evening?
He says, well, I'm a member of the Eternal Guilds, and it's my job to deal with the dead.
Oh.
He says, and I'm the only one doing the work. And he kind of gives a dirty look over to the other man.
Oh, I see now. Oh, goodness. Sir, I am so sorry to hear that. Well, clearly he has his mind in other areas.
He always has his mind in other areas.
As some men do. I hope you're not too busy these days, are you?
He says, busier than I'd like.
Oh, no. That's terrible news. Is there something I should be worried about out here on the roads? I would hate for my safety to be jeopardized.
He says, surely you've heard of the dangers in Waltham Wood.
No. I had I been aware, I might have taken a different route to my family. Could you fill me in? Is this something I should be worried about?
He says, well, everybody else in town is, and they should be. I'm the one doing the burying. And there's plenty of that.
Well, what is out there? What should I be worried about?
It's beyond my understanding, but something surely evil. Something filled with a beast filled with poisons like I've never seen. But what this beast might be, whether it be some sort of wild bear or even a winged creature, it's uncertain to me. But I'm no medical man or wise man. And it's not for me to make the determinations.
Well, sir, I strongly feel that you should not put your expertise at doubt. If working with the dead is something you do every day, surely you must have some idea.
I haven't had much time to think about it. I've been working myself to the bone. He kind of looks over towards the other man, who, at this point, they're kind of getting a little bit louder, and I want to rejoin the other players here, let them have an opportunity. They're both laughing the laughter of those who are intoxicated and looking for companionship. And he wraps his arms around her and says, what do you say we get out of here? Make the night what we can of this bleak night. And she, and he kind of puts his arm around her shoulder, and they start stumbling their way out of the inn. At this point, the sun's probably gone down. So Henry and Emma, you're back at the table. The food's been brought. Your ale has been brought, or your mead has been brought, set before you. Henry looks normal drinking mead. The rest of you don't. But and the stew, I mean, it's actually decent. The bread is a little bit, stale at this point of the day, but it's not bad for dipping into the fish stew, and it's certainly warm after traipsing through the rains of England for the last 2 days. It's nice to have a hot meal. But you kind of get a sense of, what's going on here. You've seen Joyce go up to the bar, and she seems to be having a conversation with this man who looks repeatedly agitated at the other man who is seeming to pick up this dark-haired, wavy-haired woman. And then you see, as you're kind of sitting there, you see the man and the woman start to kind of stagger towards the door. Henry, Emma, would either of you like to do anything?
Does the guy at the bar look any different as he sees the two walk out?
He shakes his head.
Or...
Yeah, he shakes his head like kind of judgmentally. And actually, so does the barkeep. The man who introduced himself as let's see here. The man who introduced himself as Ralph Moore. He looks a little bit judgmental as well.
I say in between spoonfuls, I wonder who that lady is. They both seem to disagree with her companion.
You there, Chris?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. What I'm thinking is, what is a good link into the people we're linking up with and following? You know what I mean? Lord Denny, was it Lord Henry? But as that guy had just gone out, I'm wondering if we should follow him. What do you think?
Yeah. I might look like a bull in a china shop, but maybe you could follow him.
No, I don't fancy my chances at that. And plus my foot hurts. So I'm wounded. So I might just ask about the inn generally, about the nature of. I'm trying to find my character sheet with the name on the person we need to research.
So they head out of the inn or up into the where
they're heading out of the inn.
I could just look out the door and see if I could still see them going to maybe another building or something like that.
Yeah, so the windows are wax paper, but you can kind of look through the open door, as they, or, yeah, the windows are wax paper, so you actually can't see through the windows, really. They're that.
I could step out to relieve myself and just see which way they're going.
And that's totally typical of what a place like this would be.
Indeed it is. Yes, indeed it is. Yeah.
So you see them traipsing across the town center square with the mud and rain. But the man is kind of making a joke of it. And at one point, he kind of scoops up the lady who, laughs and snuggles into him. And then he eventually goes over towards the tailor shop, above which is the Charnel Guild. But the tailor shop, you notice, is like it's like boarded up and shabby looking. It doesn't really look like it's an operating business. It just kind of looks like shabby. And he kind of, the door look, you know, he sets her down when he gets to the door, and he kind of has to jiggle at the handle a little bit. He's fumbling for a key. He kind of pushes the door in, and she starts to go in, but he kind of raises a finger, and he comes out with a couple of rain cloaks. And he throws one over her, and she's kind of like seems excited by the. Well, at first she seems like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And then she seems excited by the prospect after he says a couple of words, and he's got a lantern, a hooded lantern, to make it through the rain with. And they start walking sort of out of like across the square and to the north, along the northeast road, and they'll eventually pass out of your sight, kind of heading in that direction.
Do I notice that Goodman Blacksmith obviously has nipped out the window? I watch him go out. Obviously, he pretends to have a wee. We're in it together, like just pretends to urinate, and then I watch him like a little bit, like I see his form maybe, and then I go to the start of the inn. I look over, and I see at the bar Joyce. I look back and I see Henry, and Henry's followed them, has he? Now a little bit. Is he moving away from the pub?
Standing. Yeah, he's just standing at the. Henry's just standing in the doorway, like basically just outside the door.
I look to see if he wants to go to follow them. I look what he's doing, see if he's going to go, because I'm wondering whether to. And I look back at Joyce as well, and I nip back in the pub, and I kind of signal to her, like wave over to her, and go motion her if she's finished doing a chat.
Spotting this, Joyce will still lean back into the man and, "Sir, could you at least tell me when these attacks are generally happening? Is it during the day, the night, early morning? When should I avoid going out?"
Day, night, seems as though there's no safe place in Waltham Abbey these days. He says there's something evil ever since the dissolution. They took away the black crucifix. Things haven't been right. Now things are more wrong than ever.
Oh, the black crucifix. Where was that?
Says it was in the Abbey.
Goodness. Is there anyone we could...
Simon, and he kind of like motions to the door. Tells me there's something evil in the altar, but who knows? I'm not a religious man.
And I, not a religious woman. Well, thank you, sir. I truly appreciate your conversation and your company. And I hope that you stay safe. And she'll put just a very light touch on his shoulder, and shuffle on away with her beer to where Emma had motioned her to come.
I think I'll try to pace them. You know, just stay just out of the light of his lantern, maybe, and just keep up with. Yeah.
Easily done. I mean, he's like a beacon in the darkness, and like, you know, if you stay back, like you're in the dark, and he's in the light.
As I see,
if I see the other two coming, I'll do. Come on.
Yeah, let him go, but follow him so she can follow me. So we don't lose track of each other. So in a way, there's like a little trail. So as Joyce is like talking, I'm like leaving the pub, and I presume like Henry's following him at that point. So then as Joyce reaches the exit to the pub, I'm a bit up the street and Henry's pacing him, isn't he? If you know what I mean? So we're a bit spread out.
There's no moonlight or anything because of the cloud cover. And unless you have a light, like, you will lose track of Henry, and Joyce would lose track of you, Emma. It would be, you know, a pause thing. Yeah, he's in the dark, you know, so you can't see him.
I pause by a well, looking over to see where Joyce is.
Well, I mean, you can see Henry when he's still in the town square area, but like once he moves out of that, you know, because there's still ambient light from, you know, some of the homes and things like that you can sort of see a little bit. And you watched him walk over there, so you can kind of catch, but he's just right now like a shadowy silhouette. And once he begins to move like beyond the bounds of the town itself, like he's going to be in total darkness essentially.
All right, well then Joyce will be moving pretty quickly,
essentially trying to catch up to Henry.
Into the group.
Same thing with Emma. Are you trying to catch up to Henry?
Yeah. As soon as possible. As soon as Joyce is nearby, catch up to Henry.
Your footsteps and movements are pretty well hidden. It's not hard. And the man who's, you know, you don't have any idea what his name is. You never caught his name. Actually, I think you did, didn't you, Joyce? You heard his name mentioned.
Oh yeah.
Simon,
yes, thank you.
The man Simon and the woman that he's traveling with, you know, they're engaged. You know, Simon seems to be doting on her, keeping her occupied. I mean, he's trying to lead a woman out of town in the rain at night under cloak. So he's kind of like playing up the flirtation. It looks like he might have a little flask that he's sharing with her as well, as they're getting they're kind of weaving a little bit, you know, as they move through town.
Okay.
And does anybody want to do anything other than follow them?
No, man, I trust in the players in this matter. I'm not a physical sneaky character, so I go.
I think I would I guess since I have burglary, I could probably be a little bit more careful in traveling. So as I'm moving, perhaps shadows are indeed a friend of mine. I will kind of skirt the shadows and look to see just if there's anything that might catch my attention, like people kind of hiding there or any sort of well-traveled corridors, anything that could be good for me to catch.
Yeah, so once you start moving through the forest, it's and you're following the path. It's very clearly like a somewhat well-worn, I won't even say path, it's a road. It is a cobble paved road that is now gone overgrown. And so, you know, it's easy to sort of follow the two of them. You know, you have to be a little bit careful, particularly you, Emma, because your foot, you know, step in ruts and things like that. The road hasn't been maintained, but so, you know, roots have grown over under it, and it's, you know, a little bit kind of wavy and slightly dangerous to walk on in the dark of night, and it's wet. So you're moving along. In fact, everybody make a physical challenge. And if you have anything that would give you any benefits or disadvantages to, you know.
Well, I have got a poorly foot. But,
yeah, I probably would I'd step you down. Would you cast something?
I purified it, but I don't think I healed it. So I've got 2 points left out of 3, but I'm not sick.
Oh no, you would have healed over the night. Your hit point would have healed.
What are we rolling for?
physical challenge.
Yes,
This
but
is just walking on a rutted, bumpy, wet road in the dark.
would burglary and street smarts work for me for that? For giving me a bonus?
Nah, I wouldn't say so.
I got an 8.
Oh, good. You're easy. You're skipping along it.
I got a 2.
Okay.
Wah, wah.
I got a 3.
All right. Well, Henry, your stable bulk kind of keeps you firmly to the ground, easily moving along, carefully moving your steps along the path. You know, Emma, you find yourself slipping here and there, but you don't actually fall. Joyce, a couple of times you find yourself, you know, slipping a bit on the stones. You kind of end up with a bit of a banged knee, and you are hobbling ever so slightly, which will impact anything that you try to do that involves a running, maybe climbing too. So, you have the temporary condition of hobbled. So the group of you are moving along and you're following the light, and about 10 minutes go by following this path, this overgrown path, and you follow the light, and you can see up ahead the ruins of Waltham Abbey in the, you know, sort of overgrown forest. There is, like, you know, the roof is collapsed. Some of the walls are sort of broken apart a bit. There's sort of an outer wall which creates sort of a courtyard within which there are a couple of buildings. And there's kind of this, there's kind of a row of buildings, and you see Simon and the woman move. He's like, you know, he kind of waves her to, you can see that they're having a back and forth conversation. Like, has a bit of trepidation. And he kind of waves her to follow him down, like, one of the, an alley would be not quite the description, but between two of the buildings. And she eventually follows him.
A gully.
Yeah, that would probably be a good way to put it. And then you can see, like, you still have a sense of the light, but then the light mostly disappears as they turn around the corner behind the building. But you can still kind of see a little bit of the light, like, kind of extending out and reflecting into the depths of the gully. But it looks like it might open up back there behind. But this, again, it's like all wall inside of a larger walled area. There's a courtyard. There's several buildings, and he kind of went behind those buildings, still within the main walls, but, like, it's in the back area. And everything is overgrown. And when I say overgrown, I don't mean like it's been 2 decades and grass and trees have grown. It looks vibrantly overgrown. Like things are just sprouting. Trees, branches are wild and twisted, and they have these crazy bulbous fruits growing off of them. And the leaves are huge. There's these huge leaves, and some of them have, like, the tips of them have strange colors on them, like hyper-natural colors, that like, as the light glances off of them here and there, you can sort of see them. And at that point, you can see, like, the clouds part a bit, and a little bit and some moonlight shines down. So you're kind of seeing the light. You're seeing the rain drip off of the leaves. And everything about it is sort of strange, and there's kind of this sickly sweet smell that you're smelling. But you also, everybody make a physical challenge.
God damn it.
6.
1. We have a D4. You know what? This dice can suck it. Switch.
Yeah. Put that in a different pile, Gretchen.
Yes.
What about Emma?
Bullshit.
What'd you get?
I got a 6.
What'd you get, Emma?
3.
3. Okay.
On a D4.
So, Henry and Emma, the two of you, you smell a strong, like, very potent barnyard animal musk. It's like you walked into a crowded barnyard, like a crowded barn, and you smell that smell. It's so pungent, but it's there's no animals. You're not in a barn, but you smell that smell. Joyce, you smell shit as you step in a giant pile of it.
Thanks.
It's hard to tell exactly what kind of shit it is. It's certainly like nothing that you've ever smelled before, and you can see as you pick your foot up, because you're like agitated by the fact that you stepped in it, that the leather of your boots is like curling, and there's like a little as the rain is hitting it, like it's like an something acidic is like eating away at your boot.
As the rain is hitting it?
Well, like you stepped in something acidic, and now you look down and like the shit, now that you've like kind of stepped into it and, re-energized the shit, like it's the rain is falling on it, and it's like and it's kind of, steaming and hissing as though the rain is mixing with this acidic subject.
I have good boots, so I'm desperately going to get this off of my boot by finding a puddle.
Okay, you splash in a puddle and you get it off of you, but your boot's like not as good as it once was. You could really use a good tailor.
Thanks.
So you're kind of standing outside of the courtyard area, outside of the walls, the crumbling walls of the abbey.
Is it possible to use my druid knowledge, like not druid knowledge, what I know from like my order or my natural history, to like this growth is really strong. Like I've never seen some of these fruits. So you're saying I try to assess the fruits.
Make a supernatural challenge, and I'll let you step up on that one because of your background.
Okay, do I make a supernatural challenge by reeling? Is it or something? How do I make a supernatural challenge?
You have the statistic supernatural.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, I can step up to D10. I thought that was a 6.
Okay. So you would know that certain, like, in the times of like fae and wilderness creatures and things like that, you're not able to identify the fruit specifically, but you know that the influence of powerful fae can cause the wilds to go mad in a way.
Yeah. Unbridled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you're seeing some of that here. I mean, you're certain of it. You're sensing with your supernatural, you're sensing like a powerful fae influence.
Fae fruit, say. I cannot name them, but this is the kind of fruit that goes under the influence of that.
You did pretty well, actually, and you have this background. I'm going to say too that fruits like these, things like that, you would find these kind of things would be, they oftentimes had effects, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, usually a little bit of both. You know what I mean? Like usually there would be something that would be gained and something that would be lost.
Okay, I cover. I take my bonnet off and cover my hands in case they're poisonous, and I take 3 roots.
Okay.
Just in case, one for each of us later, in case we need them.
Yeah, they're pretty big. Like, let's say like about the size of like a mango.
Wow.
Mango.
Okay, maybe I'll just take one then.
But they're like kind of like purplish, and they're kind of like it's kind of got the consistency of a ripe plum.
Wow.
All right, yeah, you get the 3 down. You pull them off, and there's kind of this sucking sound as you pull them off, like. And the rain has almost stopped at this point. It's just very barely raining.
The people, have they stopped or have they kept going?
You don't see the light moving at all.
Okay, can we go into one of those buildings and maybe look at them like through a window?
That's very possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make my way to the closest building where I thought they went behind and see if I can spy on them through a window.
How far away is everyone from Joyce?
Well, at this point, you're kind of all like standing outside of the entryway. Like there's a wall that goes around the entire kind of complex, and you're sort of standing at where the gate would have been. But the gate was made of iron and has been just taken long ago because the materials were valuable. But there's just like a crumbling opening, I guess you might say, that leads into the courtyard that's in front of the buildings.
Okay. Joyce will kind of hiss under her breath. We must talk. There's something about the altar at the Abbey.
Oh, yes. There was an old legend of a black cross that used to sit there. And the Catholics owned it. My father spoke of it once or twice, but rare.
Now that it's gone, these things have started happening.
And now we have this fey thing. Fey fruit. And a strange chicken turkey heart beast about killing people.
Not to mention the acidic shit.
Yes. Let's talk about the acidic feces that I have stood in and that have completely ruined my good boots. But we can talk about that later.
Well,
So
perhaps these two people will get the attention of the nasties around here, and we could actually see what it is instead of putting ourselves in danger.
Well, the sound of howling, if that is in fact what is going on,
yeah, you
Joyce
hear distant
will
howling.
Pull out her dagger just to ready it.
Okay. So the courtyard is overgrown as well, but it's not quite as overgrown. So Henry, you start heading towards one of the buildings. There's a door hanging off of its hinges, and you can easily enter in. And as you sort of start getting close to it and look in, you can see that the long ago broken windows, you can see some light flickering from likely their lantern through the other side of the window. But as you're moving through the room, you notice that sort of terrible smell is getting stronger, and you're smelling the smell of rot and death as well in the darkness. You can't see anything, but you're smelling that smell, terrible smell.
Is this the same smell we smell at the Abbey?
At the Abbey? You're at the Abbey.
In
that little house.
Oh, the stone house on the way here. Yeah, it's basically the same smell.
Same smell. It's back there. It's getting stronger as well.
Well, there's definitely
it's more.
something.
You know what though? The smell. Let me just clarify though. It's got a whiff of that smell.
Let us use the secret vision, I say, and I go under that handshake thing where you look through your ring finger thingamajiggy. That's all, just to see.
Oh yeah, the special doopy doo.
Let us all look upon it while we have nobody spying upon us. Maybe I say, and look, I'll try to do the psychic side thing.
All right.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, let's see how that works. Got it. The hieroglyphic monad.
That's the book.
Conjure angelic favor through concentration and use of this gesture.
I just remembered that.
Okay, go ahead and make a supernatural check.
Okay, and if we're looking specifically for... No, yeah, go on then. D8.
I mean, you can always make an argument for why something would be an advantage or disadvantage. You know,
I was gonna try and argue for a step up to 10, D10 as from D8, as we're sure it's fair, and we've got combined smells and other bits of evidence, but I'll just roll on the D8 as I can't really justify it properly. A 2.
Okay. Yeah, so you don't feel like you're trying all of your power to... You're trying to look through the eye that sees into places beyond. And as you're looking through it and you're sort of scanning through the room, trying to pinpoint what that smell is, in the circle that your fingers make through which you peer, a vibrant, bulbous, wild, bloodshot eyeball appears for a split second.
Ooh.
And make an unraveling check. An unraveling challenge.
2 again.
Ooh. You just saw something you did not like.
Okay.
Okay. We got the unraveling charts here in front of me. Roll a d4.
1.
All right, so you immediately sense that you kind of stagger back, like your hands immediately come apart from as you see the eye, and your humors go into misalignment, and you feel your senses dulled. It's harder to hear your companions. Their vision goes a bit tunneled. Even your mouth goes sort of dry without taste. Your body goes a bit numb. The sense of smell kind of dissipates. You feel sort of dizzy and staggered. You have the humor of phlegm, and your senses are dulled. You're a 1 step down on perception and problem solving skills. Now roll a d6 for me.
D6. A 1.
And you have the ongoing consequences of fat-witted, which, until you rest, you will act carelessly, lacking in reason when making decisions.
Damn. So
but you can all see, like, he just like takes a few steps back.
So Emma was moving to do this, and Joyce had just started to, and she sees what's going on with Emma and just, nope.
Henry, weren't you about to light a lamp or something like that?
I was going to light a candle.
Okay. So you light the candle, and you kind of just see Emma take these like staggered steps back and looks like just confused and dazed. But your candle does illuminate the room. And within, you see a body, maybe? It's hard to tell. It's so desiccated. It's so mutilated. It looks almost like a pile of slimy spore rather than a body anymore. What was once a man no longer is. Joyce and Henry, make an unraveling check. Make an unraveling challenge.
Okay, what was that roll again?
I've got a 4.
You have an unraveling score,
Score.
which should be
Ah,
as a
okay.
stat on
I
your.
see,
And it should
D8.
be a D8 unless you.
Yeah.
But actually, Chris, Emma's goes down to a D6 now.
Rolled a 4.
Okay.
You're good. You're fine.
4.
Down to
You,
D6. Okay.
Yeah, so the two of you, a bit of bile rises from your throats as you see this spore-like pile, but you're able to swallow it back down and keep your wits about you. And the two of you kind of notice that, well, let's see here. I'll let you kind of decide for me. Roll me, each of you, all three of you, roll me a D4.
D4.
D4s and
2.
bullshit.
1.
4. I switched die. Look at that. Yeah.
Okay, you notice that there are a number of what appear to be snake scales embedded in the spores.
I compare them to the existing snake scales. Oh, and actually I can't. I'm reeling, aren't I? I can't make decision. I go, oh, just like
You're
slump
fat-witted
against
right
the wall.
now.
Yeah, fat-witted. I go, forget them. Forget them. They're useless. Useless. The eye.
I encourage you to
The
have fun
eye.
with this, Chris. It's
The eye. The eye is watching me.
God,
The eye.
Emma, shut your
Hush.
trap.
Hush, woman.
Or I will hush it for you.
all right. So all three of you make a physical challenge, and you're one step down, Emma.
Ugh, that means
Damn it.
I'm
1.
on a. I can't pass. I'm on a D2.
4.
Okay. Yeah.
Fail.
So Joyce
Auto.
and Emma, Emma won't shut up and is making too much noise. And Joyce, you're kind of thrown off by Emma's prattle, and you're unable to hear anything. But Henry, you kind of you stand firm and look around, gathering, realizing the danger that is arising now as one of your companions has lost her wits. And you hear from the broken window on the other side, you hear a bit of moaning sounds of pleasure in the distance.
Well, someone's having a good night.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't hear that, Joyce.
Can I just put my
That's
hand over her
strange.
mouth?
Over Emma's mouth?
Whoever, yeah, yes.
The eye. The eye.
Yeah, you can. You can.
All right, I'll do that.
There's a split shot.
I say we get out of this
I
foul.
I struggle
building.
against him weakly with my D2 physical.
Joyce will step in to try to help wrangle this ridiculousness.
Just to be clear, Emma, you are not a D2 physical. You're only a D2 physical with your senses are dulled for perception or problem solving. So it's only your senses when it comes to physical and problem solving when it comes to intellectual.
But didn't I just step down then from D4 to D2 on that previous roll?
Yeah, for that you would have, because it was a perception-based deck.
Okay.
Yeah, just for that one, but not for if you're not a D2 in physical. You just step down on occasion, depending on what you're trying to succeed at.
But I mean, the blacksmith's huge, you know. So I try to quiet myself.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to, gather yourself. You're not in like a manic situation. You're more like shell shocked. It's kind of like what it would be like. So what's your Henry, you gather Emma. Joyce, you're sort of standing there. What are you doing now? You said you wanted to get out of there, Henry. Are you trying to get out of that space,
Or should we continue to the window and spy upon them? It seems like they're busy.
Well, even if we spy upon them and something terrible happens, are we prepared? I don't feel that we're prepared for an encounter. Perhaps we should go and figure out.
We should go and tell them that there's a risk. There's something here that's not right. It smells strange. Let's go and tell
Emma,
them.
one of them is a gravedigger. He clearly understands the danger that this town is going through and chooses to ignore it.
This guy's a gravedigger or the other fella?
There's two. They're both gravediggers. So this guy is a gravedigger.
I still say we see if anything attacks them and learn from what attacks them.
All right. Well, Joyce will go.
Because I don't give two shits about
them. But Joyce will definitely try to angle to be sandwiched between anyone that she can to use to make a meat shield.
I say we continue to the window and observe and see if they're attacked by something.
Okay, so you go to observe. You move towards the window, and you can actually see beyond. There is a kind of a smaller courtyard beyond, where there is a small building which has been about 2/3 of the way devastated. So it's kind of like open in the front, 2/3 of it, so you can see well into it, although there is kind of an overhang. And undoubtedly, this was where the Black Cross was once displayed. You can see an altar there that, well, first and foremost, you see the couple lying in the sort of on a mat of straw in front of the altar doing their business. And then the altar lies right behind them. You can see, like, in the lantern light, the altar. And it's covered in strange glyphs and symbols. And it also looks like it's covered in, like, blood and shits.
Okay.
And you can hear the two of them, sort of howling into the night. And there are often sort of wild calls that return towards them as they scream into the night in pleasure. You can see the glyphs and the symbols. And then, of course, as you're close to the window, you can smell, blood and shit and the stink of sex and alcohol. And it's just it's a pretty lecherous, debased thing that is happening right now in front of you.
Can I understand the symbols?
Go ahead and make an intellectual challenge.
Step down. D6.
No, this won't be a perception. Oh, well, let's see here. It would be problem solving or perception. I don't think you would be a step down on this one. This is more just identifying something that you would have seen in books or whatever.
Okay, yeah, then, yeah.
5. Okay. Yeah, so you can see that it's a mishmash of symbols, runes, glyphs, and words of Latin and Greek.
Ooh.
And looking at it, it makes no sense.
Mm.
Does one of them appear to be in a trance, or are they both got their faculties about them besides the sexual stuff?
Drunken, but not entranced. They seem to be acting of their own volition. Although I would say Simon is acting with particular gusto, but maybe that's just his style.
I don't know what to say.
Not the most romantic of spots.
Wow. I don't think they care.
I've got to try and role play it as well, as if I'm stupid a bit.
I wonder why they affect the wildlife as they do.
Fae affects the wildlife, I say.
Do what?
The Fae, was it the Rainbow Bridge or something? They open portals or something to another world. The Fae, pagans used to believe in them. Maybe the cross has been removed. Maybe it's been replaced by something else. The Fae. Because things
Are you speaking of fairies?
I'm not. Not in the sense of down the bottom of the garden with tiny wings, although those do exist as well. There's a greater understanding of them that I only know parts of, little bits.
You say these glyphs are glowing?
No. They don't seem to be active, like in any way. They're strange and, I mean, disturbing.
We could blackmail them. Full and lawful carnal knowledge.
I'm not sure that blackmailing is the way to go for these.
Well, they won't say that when the priest comes to takes them away and burns them.
I would be interested to know why he chose this spot. Is he just to get away, or is something influenced him to choose this particular spot?
Probably because it was once a religious spot, wasn't it, or something? Wasn't this part of the... What is the actual location of the courtyard? Is it
probably where the old church was?
No, so the church has always been in town, but this is where the abbey is, and this is very likely where the Black Cross was kept.
There you go, then.
Probably on the back wall, just behind the altar. In fact, looking at it, you can see coming out of the wall numerous hooks that likely held a large cross. You can kind of see the aged outline in the stone.
This is being reclaimed.
I am unfamiliar in the Black Cross. What was its purpose? Why did they hold it in such high esteem?
I can't remember.
You can make an intellectual challenge to know.
Oh, right.
Perfect.
And if you have a background that is Catholicism, you can.
I got a 3 though.
Good roll. My dog wants mine.
You too, Joyce, if you want to.
Okay. Intellectual?
Yeah, you're all talking about this, so I'm just going to see if you're thinking about it.
Okay, yeah.
Fuck all the things. I fucking give up. Joyce falls in her face and dies.
A werewolf pops out and claws your throat out. Joyce.
Yep. Joyce is done. Boom.
What trade craft did we pick? Was it kit?
Kit.
Gift. Oh yeah, item. Yeah.
Okay.
Could be the melons. I might beat him in a melon. Might hit one of these melons. Do you want a melon, Joyce?
Yes, sure.
Try one of these melons.
Why not? Yes.
I'm fat-headed.
So the Black Cross was gifted to the Abbey 500 years ago.
Wow.
By more than 500 years ago by Toby the Proud. Toby the Proud was a powerful Danish thane who held a number of estates in southern England. And legend has it that he was sleeping in his manor in Somerset, and he had a dream of this black crucifix, a life-size cross that was buried on his property, and he unearthed it and put it in his cart. And the ox that carried the cart refused to travel in any direction except for to Waltham, where it was then installed and became a religious relic that drew pilgrims for years on end. And it's also got a special significance because it was the last of the Catholic objects that were removed during the Protestant Reformation, when all such objects and relics were taken from the Catholic churches and holy places throughout England.
But it was prophetic in a sense. Wow, okay. We know that now between us.
Yeah. I mean, somebody got a 6, right? Somebody got a...
I got a 3.
Yeah, I got a 3.
Okay, well, the two of you then know that. Joyce is like, dur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so. They're just spoiling They're spoiling it, aren't they?
Wasn't the Black Cross in that second vampire movie? John Carpenter's vampire movie, the second one?
Can't remember.
I don't know that I saw the second one.
I like John Carpenter as well.
Allowed the vampires to walk during the day.
Wow.
Had Bon Jovi in it, I think.
It did have Bon Jovi in it.
Yes.
It definitely had Bon Jovi.
He was living on a prayer.
All right, we're at the halfway point of the session. Why don't we pause here, take a bio break, let everybody think for a moment, and we will rejoin the mission here in 5-10 minutes. Sound good?
Okay. Yep.
All right. So, the three of you find yourselves in one of the Abbey's rooms, one of the derelict Abbey's rooms, a slimy, spore-covered corpse nearby, a couple fornicating adjacent to the altar, which has been corrupted in some way. And as they sort of finish up, and you're looking through the window to kind of peer upon the sacrilege that's happening, as they sort of finish up, you can see the two kind of lay there in an embrace, and the woman kind of curls up to his furs that he's brought with him and falls asleep, softly breathing. And he gets up in his nakedness, in the light of the lamp, and picks up some various sticks, knife, and you see he goes over right next to the altar, and he just squats there and just defecates right on the edge of the altar.
Yeah.
And then once he's done, he takes one of the sticks that he has and stabs into the feces and begins to draw symbols like the ones that are on there already onto the altar.
Heretical, I whisper.
heretical. It is right Dee has sent us. Look at what he does. This is not simple misworship, paganism. It is a pure attempt at manipulation of some kind.
It's a Catholic altar, though. I mean, it's a Catholic.
Yeah, it's bad. Well, to do it to any religious site is bad, isn't it? Somebody's deliberately despoiling another religious site for their own.
Yeah, I mean,
Cult.
you can define it however you want to, but I'm just saying it is Catholic.
Yeah, okay. But this guy, is either a Satanist or a pagan?
And then so like he does that for a little bit, and then he takes a knife and he cuts like the top of his thigh a bit with the knife, so some blood starts to run down. And he kind of winces, but like winces, and a little bit of kind of wildfire touches his eyes as he sort of stabs this stick-like implement into it and begins to draw.
Does he look like he's performing a ritual? Or is he just doing it? Or does he look like he has some hidden purpose?
Make a supernatural challenge.
Because I'm about to shout out to Henry, grab him before he finishes what he's doing. Look at his weakness.
Anybody who's looking can make a supernatural challenge to see if you can recognize it.
I got a 3.
D8. Oh, very good. 6.
I'm sure this is going to go just great. Oh, 2. A 2.
Oh,
fantastic.
All right,
you're so lucky.
So Henry and Emma, this is madness. This is no ritual. This is desecration. That's all it is.
Right.
Joyce, this is a calculated attempt at some sort of dark ritual. What ritual it is, you're uncertain, but you know that it's dark and it's vile.
Well, fan-fucking-tastic.
There's no sense to it. It's just despoiling. Quickly, Henry. Use your strong black man's arms and be about the villain.
Let's see what he does first. Let's gather information.
It angers me so, though.
Okay. I'm fat-headed, aren't I? I can't help it.
This is no longer God's house. You know that, don't you?
All right, well, so he does that for a little while, and he kind of every now and then he like stands back and like admires his handiwork, like he's like looking at it like as though there's a plan of some sort.
Caveman level of art, that is.
And he does that for a little while, and then once he's done, he kind of wipes the blood from his thigh wound, and rinses his hands in a nearby puddle, and then he dresses, and he awakens the woman, and I wouldn't say meanly, but roughly, urges her to dress, and she's kind of in that drunken stupor, like if you've ever been drunk and passed out and like somebody wakes you up, you're not really like awake and aware.
No, never.
So she's in that state, and so how much of this she'll remember is a bit uncertain. And he gets her to get dressed, and he picks up the lamp, and you can tell he's not nearly as drunk as he's obviously drank some, but like she's like hammered drunk, and he's just a bit tipsy, you might say.
And he was leathering it though. He was drinking though, the same rate as her, wasn't he? He just doesn't seem to be.
He put a drink to his lips at the same rate as her.
Maybe he drugged her, or maybe he's just supernaturally hard knock against vice.
Yeah, but just because did he empty his cup as often as she?
And anyway, he kind of guides her, stumbling, out of the little altar area, and the light leaves the area, and all that remains is the moonlight shining down through the light rain that's falling, illuminating the now even more desecrated altarpiece. And you're alone now, as far as you can tell. He didn't seem to notice you.
I'm not surprised. He's too busy porking and crapping on everything.
And who in their right mind would follow him and this woman out into the middle of the night during the rain into an abandoned abbey?
Don't victim blame.
Strange fruit about as well. Okay. And then they'd wander off. Well, guys, we've seen everything now. So,
Say we follow them back, maybe. I don't know. We could
search the altar.
No. You can go up there. I'll stand watch.
You know what? Third time might be the charm. I might demonize it again. Might use the demon, the hierophant vision on the altar. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to.
Oh.
Okay, actually, the scene has ended. So your humor, the phlegm, is worn off. You have the ongoing consequence of fat-witted, but the previous scene has ended. So you're no longer a step down on perception and problem solving. But you're still acting carelessly, lacking in reason when making decisions, which is a narrative element, not a mechanical element. All right, so you raise forth the hieroglyphic monad and peer through the window, allowing the moonlight to illuminate the vision beyond the symbols that you've created with your hands. And roll me a supernatural check.
A poopernatural check, did you say that?
Right? Yeah, I might have said that.
Okay. So that's yeah.
Hopefully you won't get a shit roll.
4.
Okay.
A winged expected
There
to see a
is
bloated
so you look through the eye and no, nothing peers back at you this time. You see the altar beyond, and it's clear to you as you look through the monad that these symbols and desecration mean very little. They're marks made by a madman, one who doesn't truly grasp the means necessary to do whatever it is that he's trying to do, which remains somewhat a mystery.
Like puerile, infantile. Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the altar, although its true mysteries remain unrevealed to you, you do sense a certain power from the altar. Whether that power is for good or ill isn't quite certain.
Now, guys, I can purify the altar, maybe, but that kind of gives us away, totally, doesn't it? They come back. My special ability is to purify things, but if I purify it and then it comes back, and they'll see it's been purified, won't it?
I say we leave it be.
Agreed. Right.
Agreed, at least until we have more information to go on.
Any other clues, do you think? Yeah. Is the altar liftable? Like, is there like a is an altar just sort of like a stone, or is it like hollow? Are they hollow? And you put relics in them and shit. And is that where the black cross would have been, like in the hollow of the altar?
Let's see here. It's an ancient stone, smoothed by time and touch. And I mean, yeah, it could be moved. You could knock it over, or you could move it. You could attempt to. I mean, you could do really whatever what you want. I mean, you could try to.
They are usually pretty huge.
Break it. I mean, it's somewhat large.
Yeah.
I was kind of imagining in my head, although I'm not actually certain of this, that it was actually in my head. It's the size of a tombstone.
Yeah,
sort of the way I look at it, like a larger, more modern day tombstone.
Well, they are. Part of them is the fact that the altar is like it is like symbolic, isn't it, of a crypt and all the things going on secretly with what it means.
I'm just wondering if the real magic is being hid by all this
Shit.
fake shit. Yes.
Yeah, which is why I was thinking purify. And I was hoping you'd grab him, but he might lead us to further. I mean, there might be other cultists. Or is he just a madman possessed by the Fae? Maybe we should observe him just for a week or two and see what he does.
A week or two? Do you honestly think we have a week or two?
Well, I don't know how often he does this, whether he does it every night, the dirty pervert, or whether he does it weekly. I mean, what do we have the power of under the local magistrate? Would we have to call the magistrate and say, this is a fucking crazy madman, or would we deal with him ourselves? Like, how would we deal with it? I mean, what are these fruit? Should we try one and see what happens?
Yes, please. Go ahead and try one.
Maybe not here.
Well, then perhaps we should get shelter for the evening and continue on with this later.
All right. Yes, I agree.
Don't see anything else up here to just stay and linger for. Is Dee connected to the Protestant church, Rob? Or is he like a totally independent, only gives a shit about the crown person?
Yeah, I mean, he's the latter. I mean, he's not really a... yeah, he's not really like an agent of the church. Like he would be considered kind of in the sense of like he believes in the angels and things like that, and the national religion is Protestantism, so he is kind of like a representative in that sense, but he's not like affiliated with the church.
Got ya. Yeah. Okay. Lone power. Yeah, back then to the lodgings and rest. I must eat sweet porridge, for I have been put asunder in my mind. So, so I must have sweet porridge. I must.
So you push your way out of the room that you're staying in, and that you've been in, the Abbey room, and you kind of move out into the darkness. You have Henry's candle. Did you want to light a lantern?
As long as it's not. Do we have a lantern?
Yeah, I've got a lamp and some oil. But I haven't
okay. Yeah, let's light our way out of this place.
I pass the lantern over to you. I don't.
So we don't step in any more feces.
Yeah. No, you could probably light it up as if it was daytime, and I might still step in it.
So You
Those walls.
push your way through the courtyard and begin to move back along the path to leave out. And you hear, coming from one side, you hear this the sound of some boar or pig,
Oh shit.
and this sort of shuffling noise, and then almost like the buzz of some sort of strange fly. And into your lights, flying in your path, is a monstrosity like which you've never seen before. The front half of its body is made up of the features of a pig of some sort, a snouted head and flopping ears. Its lower body is that of a long, whipping snake,
Oh, I know what it is.
and wings
Yeah.
sprout from its back, although the wings are not of a bat or a bird, but of a giant fly, causing this buzzing sound.
Well, shit.
You can see it slathering pig mouth, looks at you hungrily and begins to move towards you to devour you.
Yeah.
And we will roll initiative. Now, the way initiative happens is everybody take you can either do group or individual initiative. You flip a coin. You call what side you would like. If you succeed, you go first. If you fail, you go after the enemy. You can also roll a
Individual.
die and choose even or odd if you'd like.
Should we try and do individual so at least one of us can get into it, get an action before it maybe carves us?
Oh, sure. Sure. This will be just
I'll
fine.
do heads. And I got heads.
I'll take 1 to 3 on a d6. A 4, I lose.
I'll take even on a d6. I got a 6, so even.
So I go, and everybody else passes.
Okay. So Henry and Joyce, you gather your wits quickly, while Emma seems disturbed and staggered by the creature. However, it's disturbing scene. Although you gather your wits quickly, you must make an unraveling check at the sight of this beast. All three of you, including you, Emma, who is
Okay.
already slightly unraveled.
D6.
Oh,
6.
I have a 4.
Well done. Pass one. I rolled a 6.
I have a 7.
Okay, your previous encounters have hardened you to the potential of such a creature. And although it disturbs you in a way that makes you not wish to run or become distracted, but to kill the creature, for it is an abomination. And Henry and Joyce, declare what you intend on doing.
What kit did we select?
It's
You
just
have
a
kit.
yeah. We have kit, so that means that there might be something in that kit we could use.
Kit
Often-
is like you have the right thing at the right time when you need it.
Okay.
Like a watermelon bomb.
Exactly like a
Yeah.
watermelon.
Like, actually, a watermelon could be like a good example. Like, let's say if like you were trying to get an audience with like a famous noble, and he was having none of it, but you knew that his favorite food was watermelon, and then you could use your kit, and it would be watermelon. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not predetermined; it's determined when you need it, but it doesn't really apply specifically to this moment, unless this creature needs something specific to kill.
It
Which you will
sounds
soon
like a
find out.
Jabberwocky.
I-
Um,
So next up
think
is you state your goal. Your goal is two things. You can do kind of two things. And the examples are, I move past the guard and snatch the keys, or I slip beneath my enemy's defenses and swing up with my sword. So it's kind of like a two-part declaration. You can do 2 actions during your moment, which is about 12 seconds long.
All right. Yes. Then I'll wait. I'll wait till his defenses are down and strike with my small. What did I have? My small-headed mace.
Nice. And what about you, Joyce? You had your knife out, right?
Right. So I guess as it's starting to approach, I will try to stab for the eyes.
All right, so going for the pig's eyes. As its mouth is slobbering, it seems intent upon the staggered and wobbling Emma Rose, looking to bite at her exposed, fleshy face. And Emma, what would you like to? What is going to be your goal?
I stumble back behind the defensive shield of such a large Henry Cowl, and I pull out my figurine, my voodoo figurine, and I go and I go and try and use my snapping ability to make its leg go snap or something, to addle it or to cripple it in some way.
Okay.
So I actually use witchcraft.
Okay, great. So we'll resolve.
Oh, right. We have special abilities. I forgot about those.
They're minor, but they're useful at times. We'll say you're first, Henry, because you're kind of standing in its way. So you are one step down because of what the creature is. It applies a one-step reduction in your physical ability.
Okay. Can I get a step up because my materials is iron and it feels comfortable in my hand?
Sure, I like the argument in that favor.
So that's back to a 8.
Okay.
7.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's good of it.
Okay, so is the damage on? Usually, most weapons are damage of 1.
Okay.
But some of them have, it might say under the weapon, like +1 damage or something along those lines. Does it?
I don't remember what it said. Let me see here.
No, it doesn't look like it. I'm looking at the weapons here.
Okay, just a standard mace.
It does 1 damage, yep.
Schmack.
Okay. You can hear the pig squeal as you smack into it with your mace. Joyce.
Can I shift my action a little bit now, remembering the little special things we have?
Sure.
Is the floor we're walking on wooden?
It's stone. It's cobblestone.
Okay. Is it possible to use my ability of decay to cause some of these stones below the creature's feet to crumble?
The creature's flying.
The creature is fucking flying. Okay.
It's flying with
these
large. It's got these large fly wings, like a fly that come out of its snake body. And
I think you got the right principle there, Gretch. You could do it from above, like a rock drops from above. You were on the right tracks there. Instead of it below, make it.
Not a rock necessarily, but there are heavy, thick trees that are sort of creating a canopy over the pathway. You could cause a branch to rot and fall.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then let's do that. To try to at least distract or pin it for a little bit.
That would be quite handy, wouldn't it, for moving bricks to steal stuff from buildings, wouldn't it, Joyce?
Yes. So do I need to roll to do that power, or how does this work again?
Yeah, you would roll supernatural.
Okay.
Supernatural.
Okay, well, let's see how terrible this fail is. 6.
Good luck.
Thanks, I need it.
Are you serious?
No. One or two. It can't be. Yeah, okay. A 1. Branch
You got
on
a
the
1.
head.
So you can only use those that once per game.
I would say you can only use it once per narratively sensible within the game.
Or is it once per success? If she failed it, can she try it again, or is it all over for the next narrative?
Let's see here. Favors 21.
These
We
dice
have
are
a-
going to bed tonight.
We have a saying for your level of bad luck, Joyce.
Oh, yeah?
With fate at the moment. Yes, we say in England, next time the gypsy comes to the door, buy some pegs.
I love
what-
that.
So what we're trying to say is, you've done something to anger somebody that bad.
You want-
texture to the point.
You
Yes.
want some of mine? I got
Well-
like a whole box of dice. Oh, you can't see it, but
Well, my
I
clacks
have-
are going to bed.
I have a wonderful piece of information for you, Gretchen.
Oh, yes?
Once per game, once per session, they work automatically.
oh,
So you don't even need to
Oh.
roll.
And you've got
Awesome.
fortune.
Fantastic.
You've also
Yeah.
got fortune points. I spent mine last game, but we've got fortune as well. That does something,
Oh.
doesn't it?
That's
Oh, yeah, you
true.
can
How
spend
do
your
we use
fortune
the
point,
fortune
can't you?
again?
Well, fortune allows you to basically re-roll one roll per.
There you
It's
go.
per scenario though. It's not per session.
Yeah. I spent mine and my foot still burnt.
so she can automatically rot the limb.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So you rot the
Fantastic.
limb, and the branch becomes weak, and you hear like this. You hear this sound.
Nice.
As the
Yeah.
tree branch crackles and the branch falls, it smacks into the creature, staggering it a bit as it moves to the side, but doesn't seem stopped for Emma. So, Emma, you are now rolling a physical challenge to dodge this thing. And remember, it's a -1. You're down 1 step on your physical for this.
Okay, so my physical is 4. So, is it D3?
It's a D4. Oh, it's a D4, so it's a step down.
So it becomes D2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you cannot succeed.
You
actually.
can't succeed. Oh.
Okay,
Unless you got something to make it better, right?
You can. Well, Emma could have spent the round dodging, and that would
I
have
said
helped make it better.
I said I stand back behind the fleshy shield of Henry Cole, stepping
And
back.
you do your magic.
and I
Yeah.
don't know.
So you have to actually give
Oh,
yourself
okay.
over entirely to dodging.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I can take it. Bring it on.
Okay, so roll me a D8.
Me.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes. A 7.
Okay, it flies at you, kind of staggered by Joyce's branch falling, and it flies at you, and it just kind of bites into the side of your face,
Mm.
and just rips off a piece of flesh. You take 1 hit.
Ooh.
Honestly, that was probably better than.
Could have been.
Yeah.
It was a 7 then.
Okay.
I
So
thought that
now
was
it's your
bad.
turn. Your turn, Emma.
7. Yeah. I go. Get off me! And I go on my figure and break its wings. Snap
So
one of its
what?
wings.
What is the effect of your magic again?
It says it's 5 diamonds, and I may snap, cripple, or addle But all of those mean like break it
Okay.
working.
So the creature was
Or on a
already.
snap its wings. It's fly like wings, which are thin.
In fact, I will say this, and I will give you, as I always love to do. Go ahead and describe how your magic kills the creature.
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay. I go with my figure and like snap its arm, and the beast rears up, tries to fly, and its wings just like snap to one side, and it falls awkwardly, really awkwardly, like banging off a tree because it flew up a bit before it was snapped, and it falls horribly onto some like old church railings or something, or an old like spike, like a cross or something, and just like as totally impales onto the cross with its legs hanging off and stuff. And it twitches
All right.
and writhes about.
And as it does its last death rattle, you hear this sound escape it. This sound that seems to come from a realm beyond. Something dark and something powerful and something twisted that you hear sort of dissipate into the distance.
Wow.
And the creature lies dead.
Goodness.
Step back. Holding my face. My face. My face, my beautiful face. And then I'll stumble back and like drop my witchy figure on the floor. Is it spent now, or do I can I fix it? Is it just like for role play? You have one every game, like is that item used now?
I mean, we could just say like maybe, I don't know. I would do something cool narrative with it, but I'm not going to define that specifically for you. But I kind of think it might be interesting if like your character while you're traveling is like whittling these like little figures, and those figures, and so it doesn't say that you can't use it again. It just says that once per session it happens automatically. So I think after that
You have to roll.
harder and harder to do it. I would say it would become harder and harder, like you're trying to draw upon powers.
Or for some of us, just impossible.
Well, you could do a step down every time it's used.
That's kind of what I was sort of thinking.
Yeah.
I wasn't describing it mechanically, but that's kind of what I was imagining.
So this thing is dead. Now we have to find whatever conjured it.
Who would believe such a thing existed? Maybe we should take a portion of it for an alchemist.
No, I'm not touching it.
I stumbled forward.
I would certainly caution touching it, considering everything that has come into contact with what it leaves behind, like your toes. It doesn't go well. Though I guess I did get that weird cone thing. So have at it, Emma.
Yeah.
The disturbing thing about it is that the pieces do seem relatively mundane. The snake's body seems to be some sort of viperous snake, although you're not sure exactly what type. The upper pieces of it seem an ordinary pig in a lot of ways. And its wings seem to be of a common horsefly. But in all cases, it's distorted and enlarged.
So,
does it look like a construct?
Yeah. There you go. Diagnosis.
Go ahead and do that, Emma.
I'll give it some diagnosis with super.
Well, I'm going to I'd give you a step up, but then I'm going to give you a step down for perception. Well, no, you're just yeah, okay. You don't have that effect anymore, so I'd give you a step up on that. And Henry, do you have any skills that might allow you to discern if it's a construct versus a natural creature?
I've got materials, devices, and mechanics. Now, if it's a device,
I would say that would give you enough to give you a shot at an intellectual and a step up on that.
All right.
To see if you can figure
3.
it out.
I've got a
Right.
5.
Okay. The two of you dig into the creature, and
Henry's on fire.
Oh, you said it.
Ah, yeah.
Session's not over. Henry using his analytical mind, and Emma using the mind of a wise woman to come up with solutions. The two of you are able to tell that this is while it is an unnatural abomination, it's not a construct. It seems to be a nature-derived creature. So something that grew together in this mad form.
That's unusual. That's really unusual, isn't it?
Mhm.
I thought the guy had gone mad and had just like gone and blobbed things together.
I
It
think
could
it's been
actually be.
conjured,
Right.
maybe.
Oh my.
Is there, now knowing that this beast is dead, the dude's gone, Joyce will just go ahead and head over to the altar to get a closer look at it.
The powerful scent of blood and sex and shit is nearly overwhelming as you get closer to it. I mean, and as you do, you just can't help but reimagine all the horrific images that you saw just an hour or so ago happening to this altar. Again, it's covered in these symbols, Greek and Latin words and symbols, characters. The building itself is mostly destroyed. The stone is, again, it's sort of smoothed by time, and as you can see, in any places that you've gone where those who are of the faith come in a regular basis, they've laid hands upon it many, many times, and even a solid piece of stone, such as this altar, can become sort of smoothed and rounded just simply by human hands running over it time after time after time for years and years and years, like it has for the 500 years or so that it's been here.
Wow.
You see a number of sticks and implements similar to the one that Simon was using, the ones that Simon was using to scrawl blood and feces symbols upon the stone.
So you've got engineering and stuff. So because sometimes I was just thinking if we needed to lift the top of it.
Let me ask. So if I'm standing behind the altar where a priest would normally stand, looking out into the rest of the church, is there anything that I would see that could give any clues or that looks different, or, I mean, obviously unusual, but as if there could be something here listening to the altar, like, you know what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah.
Can we make that husband-wife brain connection? Because this is done.
So looking at looking in that way, and that's like sort of a clever thought, but you sort of standing there, you don't, but there is a certain power you feel by being in the presence of the altar.
Right.
It's, and I will just say this, and I don't care if you're religious or not. I'm not religious, but on a personal level. But if you've ever been to a really old church And you've seen one of these kind of things where there's something that literally tens of thousands of people have come to because they think it's important and has value. There's something about those places. Like, even if your character is not a religious character, it's not really a believer. So like, even standing there, you can sort of get a little bit of a sense, like, even though it's been so horrendously desecrated at this point, it has a little bit of that. There's a power to it, and there's a presence about it.
Does the presence feel godly?
Make a supernatural challenge. Or you could also look through the monad if you want.
The standing stones in Glastonbury are like that, you know. And you can hear him, you go, fucking hell, they feel like they've fucking been powered up, they do. Like,
Do you roll
when you imagine.
Did you roll a 1?
Yeah.
You roll.
This is like statistically impossible, right?
Oh,
I'm just gonna go to bed, guys. I'm just gonna go lay down.
yeah.
So you raise the monad before your eye.
Use your fortune. You've got fortune. You could use that. Save your ass.
I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh my God. Seriously, if I roll another one,
Come
I'm
on.
just gonna go to bed. Okay? I'm just gonna go to fucking bed. That's what's gonna happen. A 5.
There you go.
Jesus Christ.
He won't help you roll dice.
No.
So one of the things I do appreciate about this is, Gretchen's not cheating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe that, or she really wants to go to bed early.
I know it would be nice, but whatever.
You raise the monad before your eyes, and you begin to scan around at the stone, and there is this moment where you're kind of get this tunnel vision as you look through the open eye that you've created into the world of angels, and looking at it, it's of two minds for you. On the one hand, you sense there's this powerful angelic presence upon it, something akin to like the powers that be, the angelic powers have glanced down upon this place many times, and the space between here and there is not quite as distant as it might be in other places on this world. And yet, there is a taint as well. A taint that seems to come from the root of the stone itself, where it enters, where it sits, where it enters the ground beneath. It's uncertain, but there is a taint that seems to pervade all of the area kind of around the stone. Like the stone seems to be having some sort of impact one way or another.
Why don't we use Henry Cole's engineering ability and chain to move the stone? Save the stone so we can't cast any more spells on it or do any freaky rituals, and take it away and purify it, and then use it ourselves.
Yeah, can we reconsecrate the grounds?
These are
and
all
then when he
things.
comes, have a net ready. Get him.
One of the problems of this time in the world is that in most things you are in the realm of ignorance.
Oh, yeah.
And only through experimentation can you find even a portion of the truth. Kind of like today in our real world.
Was that a bureaucrat by any chance? Did that to you? So yeah, that's my suggestion. We could steal the. We could. He's saying it's at the base of the stone. Henry's got the ability to move the stone with his engineering in a bit of chain, and his black smithy brain. It could be that we could steal the stone, thus making it impossible for them to summon any more of these creatures. Is the creature a guardian, or is it a conjuration, or is it a defender, or is it something this freaky guy's created by accident? Or
I wouldn't mind asking that dude just where he goes to do the nasty, or is he part of it? I mean, he could just be going out there and humping on an altar for all we know.
Well,
Might just be mentally disturbed.
Yeah, I mean, because
Henry,
but we
some wild
could.
people.
I think we figured out that all the stuff he's writing in his feces is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It has no magical value.
Yeah, but he's attempting to, and through. Imagine if we left a child with fire and oil. Before you know it, he pours oil all over the floor and sets fire to me.
I mean, we could notify the town.
I say we interrogate this dude.
Accost him, that's it, Henry. Get him. Accost him and get him. Let's catch him in the act. And then tie him up.
Doesn't he live over that guild house? That when I saw him go into the guild house and get the raincoats, doesn't he live there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you presume. I mean, he pulled out some raincoats. He went into the house. He went into the tailor shop.
What I would suggest is, though, Henry, is that you wear the executioner's hood, my friend, to hide your although your hands are big and you will be recognised, maybe. At least we can question him, without him knowing who's questioning him. Then, of course, I won't put a hand on him being a lady.
I mean, we can all ask around, see how important this man is in the town. It may be.
I mean, he's not that important. He's a gravedigger.
The gravedigger.
I mean, we could.
Which makes you wonder why a woman's sleeping with him. Yeah.
I mean, during this time, couldn't you just approach anyone of the faith and tell them what you've seen, and they would immediately think this person is committing, heresy? And
that's true, but we're undercover, aren't they? And we're trying to do as much. I understand what you say, but they will deal with it, but then we'll be dragged into it as well, and we'll have to do. Oh, my father has to deal with loads of these, and then somebody might come from the diocese.
It's also a Catholic religious site. It's also a Catholic religious site.
Yeah.
So it's not like
they don't really care about it.
And actually, you should understand this, and Joyce would understand this. Is that in a way, professing that sacrilege is being done to a Catholic holy site might even put you in danger, because it could imply that you think that's wrong, that you think that something should that this thing should be preserved, which is not tolerated right now. In fact, and you would all know this as agents, is that the Catholic Church is actively working against Queen Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that Dee is attempting to do is to protect Elizabeth from supernatural activities that the Catholic Church is actually performing to attempt to essentially remove her from the throne and put Mary on the throne.
Yeah. Also, the real question is, who was those two embarrassed by? Were they embarrassed by the man, or were they embarrassed by the woman? Maybe the woman holds something more significance than the man does.
Mm-hmm.
maybe they wasn't embarrassed that the man was taking the woman off. Maybe they was embarrassed that the woman was spending time with the man. Maybe she's important.
Maybe she's beyond. Yeah. No, but she was absolutely wrecked up, wasn't she? But yeah, good point.
Are you headed back towards town while you're having this discussion?
Yes.
Towards the center of town. This is
unless we wanted
still...
to stick around the altar.
Well, that was my other choice. That was my other option.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I don't want to presume that
you could. I mean, I'd love to get back and have some sweet porridge and a bit of suet and a kip. But if we can remove the...
I don't think we have enough chain. I think it's just a little piece of chain. It's not like...
We could do the donkey, couldn't we?
Well, go ahead and make an intellectual challenge. And I'll give you a step up on that, Henry, because of your understanding. Yeah, your mechanics.
A 2.
Because the Catholics could be secretly using the altar to do just
that.
Yeah,
you don't think you have the materials to... I mean, you might be able to move it out of that space. You figure you probably could, but you don't... There's just not enough debris and materials here to even create like a sled or something that you could pull it with. I mean, it would be... I mean, you're like literally imagining this scenario where the three of you are literally gripping onto a huge stone and trying to drag it across wet cobbles back to town.
Everything's fine here. It's fine.
Like you need a wagon at least.
Yeah.
Or a sled at worst.
Plus it's covered in shit and feces and semen or whatever.
Yeah, and you need and it wouldn't be bad if you had a pack animal of some sort.
Yeah.
Donkey.
I do have one more. You said there's a bunch of symbols that was written in Latin.
Mm-hmm. Latin and Greek.
Are both of those part of the original decor, or do they look like they're fresh?
Oh, all of that stuff is written in
blood
and poop and some of it. Some of it has a little bit of it has been scratched into it as well. But,
presumably by that dude.
Yeah, but mostly superficial as far as the scratches go.
Okay.
I don't know.
So we could just burn the grove. But really we want to find out what's behind it in case there's other groves, don't we? Or other things going on.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right, yeah, Henry's onto it, innit? We need to bust his house. We need to bust his house and question him personally and put him at risk of drowning or fire so he confesses. or fucking do the stoning or get rid of his ability to do what he's doing.
We could also do it inconspicuously. We know that he likes drinking, he likes women. We have 2 women here.
Oh shit, I wish we got herbalism. We could have given him like something that made him speak.
Yeah, maybe
is there a herbalist in town?
Maybe we could lure him back out here and...
You could check and see if there's an herbalist in town.
We could do that. We could pretend to be both in on it. Like, oh yeah, we're up for a bit of a totally honey badger him, Joyce. Get him there, and as he steps through the door, Henry just fucking whacks him on the head with it.
Well, we could, but he's already seen me.
No, he didn't see you.
He didn't?
No, that's precisely how I described it. You bumped into him a little bit. He kind of looked over his shoulder, but he didn't really even notice you. He just kind of noticed that there was a figure, and then he went right back to the woman. He actually specifically did not did not see you. Didn't see Emma either.
So yeah, we could do that. We could double whammy him. Hit one then the other. If he doesn't like one, go for the other. And then Henry wait in advance with his armor.
Or many men are tempted by just 2 women together.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah.
Ugh.
To that.
I mean, having seen this guy, squat and poop and play with it, like,
It is vile, isn't it?
He's disgusting.
so disgusting.
And this was not in lines or veils. Nobody gave me a line or a veil on poop.
I say to the players, actually, like, having, like, being a vicar's daughter, and some of the times my father used to rave about things that he'd seen that were ungodly. And desecration of, like, with shit and urine is, like, a number one sign of demonology. Total demonologist. Like, anti-Christian, any the opposite.
Well,
So we're looking at dealing with somebody here who doesn't maybe look as stupid as they are, but there's something at it, isn't there?
yes. Well, let's be honest, though. He's done for tonight. So how about we go and get some rest and recover, and then follow up with him tomorrow when he's ready for another round.
Yeah, I think we'll see if we can lure him back out here and then pounce on him and get our information that we need.
Fantastic.
Or we could search his house while he's at work digging graves. Or what else could we do? We could check him with the diocese. We could ask the locals, the priests and stuff, about him. Has he got any reputation? What was he like in the last months before this? Has he always done this? He always been a drinker and a womanizer? Or did it start on solstice? Or did it start when? Does anybody notice? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Something that he himself is innocent of. It could be possessed.
It's already pretty late, though, correct?
I mean, at this point, it's probably 10, 11 at night. But like 11. We'll say it's like 11, getting close to midnight.
Should we go back to bed? Should we go back and get some kit then? Go back and get some kit. And then work on these plans the next day.
Yes.
All right. Well, you head back to Waltham Abbey, the town of Waltham Abbey. And you find your way back to the Green Men Inn, tired, worn out. Images of horrific beasts and spore-riddled corpses and depraved activities running through your heads. Considering how far will you go to stay the execution that's been placed upon your heads, to do these things that John Dee has bargained with you for your life. And you end up getting keys from Ralph Moore, the red-faced and well-fed elderly innkeeper. You stagger your way upstairs to the rooms, barely paying attention, falling to your sleeping mats and passing out after a difficult and exhausting day.
RPGs and Baby Makes 3 is a production of Gretchen and Rob sitting on their couch. Email the show at rpgsandbabymakes3@gmail.com. You can find more episodes on Podbean, Spotify, and iTunes, as well as on our free Patreon page at patreon.com/RPGs and Baby Makes 3.